I'm really looking. Well, good afternoon, good evening, bienvenidos, everyone. I'm Sandy Yannone, your host of Cultivating Voices Live Poetry, here live on joining you from Zoom and also broadcasting live to Facebook. We say hi to folks on Facebook and YouTube, where we'll have recordings after the program. If you're just joining us for the first time, this is our fall opener of our themed open mic called our Poets Focus, where we choose a word and we look at that word through our open mic prismatically with our poets that are live here on the open mic. We'll have featured poets, and if we can, we'll get to as many as we can on the waiting list as we move through the program, 90 minutes. Well, just a little bit about Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. We are an international, intersectional, intergenerational group of poets and poetry lovers. We began in March of 2020, broadcasting every single week for a few years, and then moving to our 3 distinct poetry formats. Again, today you're joining us for our Poets Focus. Today, the themed open mic is on the theme of Unite. I want to always start the beginning of the program with thanks to our readers from last week that joined us in our season opener. Our season opener was the fantastic poetry barbecue and poetry roundup. It was amazing. So thank you so much to our featured readers, as well as those of you on the open mic. And we will also be continuing with just great programming all through the fall as we move through our different formats. So welcome one and all, and I'm so excited for our very, very first Poets Focus of our fall season. Folks, earlier this week, we lost a dear, dear friend to Cultivating Voices, as a member who contributed from the very early days. It was really heartbreaking to hear about the passing of Marian Lovett, and we wanted to just begin our program today with a modest tribute, and allow Marian, in her own words from one of her recordings of her reading here on Cultivating Voices, to kick off our reading today on the theme Unite.
Oh, Sandy, well, the privilege is all mine, I assure you. And certainly for me, like so many others, I think Cultivating Voices has been a lifeline in the last year. So my poem is called The New Minimalism, and I wrote it because, well, COVID times has meant that I guess we've all had to embrace minimalism in many ways. And well, the COVID funeral is no exception, and my poem is about that. The funeral was minimal. Just the 7 of us, plus 3 cousins socially distanced across 4 pews, lost in the vast expanse of a cathedral that can easily hold 1,000. The funeral was minimal, pared down to bare essentials. She'd said, no flowers, no fuss, no photographs. The coffin was plain, unvarnished oak, the lining beige, raw linen. No frills, no shiny nameplate, no ornate handles made of brass. The funeral was minimal, but those who cared enough turned out to greet the cortege, if you could call it that. Just 2 cars plus a hearse. Her neighbors stood outside the house where she'd lived in most of her married life. They lined the streets all the way up the town, as far as the black railings that led to the cathedral steps. The funeral was minimal. She'd said no eulogy, but the sermon sufficed. It was vivid and precise, said by an out-of-towner who'd known her for 30 years since they'd met on pilgrimage. It suited her to ship him in, a one in the eye for the local padres, since in her later years she realized the church was full of sin, her own parish even, riven by users and abusers, and she'd made her feelings known. The funeral was minimal, but the music was glorious, was what she'd chosen, a curated selection. And as the last song played, the swelling refrain of Andrea Bocelli's Time to light streamed through the blue and green glass windows in the upper clerestory. The funeral was minimal. At the burial, a handful showed up for her, as she'd have done for them, all masked. No hugs or kisses, some elbow touches. A few related what she'd said the last time that they'd met. There were laughs about how outspoken she could be. And I remembered then the time she'd rung me and said, his paintings are in the shed. No interest in their worth. They were always at loggerheads. He'd laughed it off and said, she was never so easily impressed, my mother. Well, now she's gone, no speaking ill. Instead, that day, we did everything the way she wanted. The funeral was minimal, but the service was televised, and several who couldn't come tuned into it online. Across the country and beyond, candles were lit and tears were shed for a woman who thought herself inconsequential. The funeral was minimal, and as we walked, the coffin down the middle aisle, from her flat in London, Lily pressed one hand to the TV screen and waved her grand goodbye. And with that touch, the screen froze. Love fused and crackled, soared, and made its way across the March gray sky. We felt its voltage in the sun that briefly shone on us as the wooden box was lowered into deep, dark earth. So there you are. That's for my mother-in-law, Maeve, who passed away on International Women's Day. What a great day to go. Thanks, guys. As I said, I feel I'm amongst friends. Lovely meeting so many of you this year.
Thank you. Everyone, that's Marian Lovett, our dear friend and member here of Cultivating Voices Live Poetry, reading her poem from one of the early programs. And Marian passed away on Monday, and actually her services are tomorrow in Dublin. They will be live streamed, so please do look for that. And we want to just send our deepest sympathies and condolences to her family and her friends, and to each of us who have just marveled at her spirit and way she shared everything with us over the years. And thank you to Kim so much for preparing the clip for today. I'm the first one up for the open mic today, everybody, with my own humble tribute to Marian on that theme of Unite. We are here for our open mic on the theme of Unite. And before I share my contribution, I just want to remind you that, of course, the chat is live. Please do share your humble enthusiasm, your respectful enthusiasm, your love for the poets as they're sharing their contributions. And of course, please provide any content notices that will allow our members to have agency over the material that they may be hearing and might need to mute. Well, as I said, Marian's passing was very, very difficult news early this week. And I've been doing the Seeley Challenge, reading a book of poetry a day. And I had always planned on ending the challenge with Evan Boland's The Historians, which is my final book in the challenge. I had known I was going to end with this book just when I began the challenge a month ago, not knowing that Marian would pass. And Marian was the one that actually gave me this book in March of 2020. Evan Boland had passed away in April of 2020. Again, it was a heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, devastating loss to the poetry world and the world in general. And her book, The Historians, came out posthumously. We, of course, did a tribute that first Sunday to Evan Boland in our way to unite our just fledgling group here on Cultivating Voices. And so many people came to pay their tributes and respects to Evan Boland. Well, in honor of Marian and her giving me this book that I really cherish, and I kid you not, I take it with me everywhere. When I go to Ireland, I bring it with me. I had it with me in April this year when I was able to see Marian after 5 years. And this is the first poem in the collection called The Fire Gilder. She loved silver, she loved gold, my mother. She spoke about the influence of metals, the congruence of atoms, the art classes where she learned these things. Think of it, she would say, as she told me to gild any surface, a master craftsman had to meld gold with mercury, had to heat both so one was volatile, one was not, and to do it right, had to separate them and then burn, burn, burn mercury until it fled and left behind a skin of light. The only thing, she added, but what came after that, I forgot. What she spent a lifetime forgetting could be my subject. The fenced-in small towns of Leinster, the coastal villages where the language of the sea was handed on, phrases bruised by storms, by shipwrecks, but isn't. My subject is the part wishing plays in the way villages are made to vanish, in the way I learned to separate memory from knowledge, so one was volatile, one was not, and how I started writing, burning light, building heat until all at once I was the fire gilder, ready to lay radiance down, ready to decorate. It happened with it never did, when all at once I remember what it was she said. The only thing is, it is extremely dangerous. That's Evan Boland, and this is my tribute to Marian Lovett. I love that line, ready to lay radiance down. I felt like that's what she did all the time when she was with us and will continue to be with us. Thank you, everybody. Well, next, I'm so happy to be able to welcome Alexandra Psaropoulou, and it's always amazing to be able to open a program with your phenomenal, phenomenal work. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, I just want to make sure that can you see the graphics going by?
The graphics are not yet, nope, they're not yet there.
Mhm.
There's an ad on the screen, so you
Yeah,
might.
you're showing the wrong window, Alexandra.
Yeah, going again. So now can you see the graphics going
There
by?
it is. We have it.
And you can see the graphics going by.
They are
Okay.
moving by. Yes, thank you.
So I'll time myself. Line 19. It might be too untimely yet to dismantle the veils. Even so, I can see an all-pervading phlogiston in these little flowers. acclimatizing the seeds in our gardens to Olympian soils and seasons, even so. Even so, in this dense temporal spin, outer circles burning to interiorize homoousia. Even so, in this crystalline spatial spin, inner circles burning to be exteriorized by homopsychia. Shifting personalities from misguided, disheartened to demiurgical, enkindled. Hephaestian octahedrons outshining illusory miasma into raised psychivalians. Master alchemizing positive electric sparks, magnetically captivating gold vortices. Hierophants reverently conducting phohatic heat into axiotonal lines, spinning a crescenting blossomed mount and fiery triplicity, spinning a crescenting personal progress and self-extension, even so. It might be too hasty yet to visit other lands. Even so, I can walk on this earth's plains and in lucid blue yonders, interpaving third-dimensional existence to multidimensionality, even so. Even so, in this wild raging cacotopic whirl, onto poetics hearkening to chant monophysitism. Even so, in this archetypal, inviolable whirl, logos hearkening to be imprinted by diaphysitism. Fine-tuning into relationships from unfulfilling compromising to hyperstatic aura blending. Psychometric rhythms metronoming our sevenfold distilled ambrosial affection. Mirroring age-old scars and ordeals into apocatastasis. Superseding disturbances and divergencies of the lower planes by spheroidal oneness, whirling, connecting coarse kingdoms and finer keynotes, whirling, connecting spoken communication and cosmogonic communion, even so. I'm a bit mindful of the time, and I think the entire poem will take 6 minutes, so I'll stop halfway through.
Thank you so much. That's Alexandra Psaropoulou. I just want to share that these exquisite mindscapes, poetryscapes that Alexandra creates, they take months to create. So I look forward to hearing the completion of the poem at a future time. Thank you for being with us. It's so good to see you. It's so good to see you. Well, next we get to hear from our dear friend Isaac Cohen. Welcome, Isaac. It's okay. Well, folks, I'm gonna move to the next. I'm gonna move to Ken Burch while we're finding out about Isaac's whereabouts or if there's some technical difficulties. So over to Olympia, Washington. Ken, so nice to have you with us today. Thank you for
Hi.
being.
It is excellent to be here. We are heading into the sense of the reality of the beginning of fall. I've got 2 poems. One of them is a variant of the form I've been using, this kind of Senro form, which I've done a slight variant of it this time, where I'm beginning each second couplet with the last 2 words in the first one and seeing what that does. And it's got some things to do with mortality on various levels, peaceful versus not. The parts that are not, I would like them to be taken as dedicated both to the Israelis who were found, the Israeli hostages who were found dead, whatever we think of this conflict, those people did nothing to deserve it to be taken, and at the same time, the thousands of Palestinian Gazan children who have been lost in this conflict. Autumn crawls nearer. Hours of sunlight slip away, shadows, rain, here soon to land on this pathway shared by us all. Stranger, maybe friend? Maybe friends just made or newly turned away, now lost, not to find again. Find again, as days find the night, as it regains its share of the time. The time, how much? Little. No one can predict, at least soon in the hours of breath, new or last few, fading to that which must then be. Must be in its time or far before what had been thought its time to be. To be, when enough, a fair, full, savored exit, not without the chance to fully find our choreography, dance our proper tune enough from the great unending stage, steps done till the end which should be decades past each birth, in bed, loved ones safe and near alive, not dancer, shoes, stage, reduced to rubble far too soon. Second poem is my first attempt to write in the form of the ghazal, and it's more or less on the theme of unity or unite. If I could bond, somehow enthrall everyone, the all, with couplets, new some hope install in the all, I'd write innumerate ghazals, words finding words, and read them in some global hall to the all. I would other forms as well employ, bring into play all means, methods lyrical, all for the all. Sleep, meals, good health, I'd sacrifice each day only to with rhymes, find flight, walk, if need be, crawl towards the all. As all might then somehow to each other fly on their own words, if great, if small, all to the all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. That's Ken Burch, everyone. Oh, yeah. Great poems. Again, everybody, we're united today in poetry for our theme on our themed open mic on the theme of unite. And we move next to Marjorie Maddox, followed by David Brydges. Hi, Marjorie. So nice to have you with us today. Thank you.
Hello. I thought, okay, great. This first poem is a poem that I think is both about division, but I hope is really about unity, or the need for unity. So this is called Returning Early from Vacation. And it's based on kind of a true story, part of it, where one of my neighbor's kids was shooting arrows into the backyard of another neighbor, and they weren't too happy about it. Returning early from vacation, we find the new neighbor's twins in our backyard, hanging by their knees from the old elm like a question mark, just above the boards they pounded into a makeshift fort, complete with large hand-painted signs, "Danger, keep out." We introduce ourselves, relocate their warnings to our back gate, and wait impatiently for the parents whom we've never met to act, which they do not do the next day when firecrackers singe the tree's branches, or the next week when arrows fly over our white pickets and just miss the dog, unwisely lounging beneath the boughs without a helmet, or the next month when the boys reappear, this time on our front porch, disguised as hoodlums, holding out their brown sacks for Kit Kats and M&Ms, for caramel apples that have not yet known razors. And maybe we remind ourselves as they make their way to the next unsuspecting house, never will, but could nonetheless finally unmask our intolerance for anything dressed up as that out-of-date Good Samaritan story we once recited verbatim at church picnics and neighborhood block parties, but have since, swear on our mortgage, abandoned when those not like us moved in here and there and over here, and, truth be told, destroyed the welcoming committee's best laid plans, not to mention the tranquility of our serene neighborhood, for which we've paid a very pretty penny given our close proximity to highly rated prep schools and forward-thinking churches, all complete with security cameras, whitewashed fences, active outreach committees, working oh so hard to better our tight-knit community. So I hope you got the tongue-in-cheek part. And then a tiny short poem, In the Company of Women. Always they are surprised by the boulder-sized heft of the hidden beneath the weight of my ordinary eyes that smoke signal they too will survive, give or take a decade or two, give or take the unrelenting midnight whys that unwind into other lives, the discovery of lifting rock by rock, pebble by pebble, what once was thrown as victim, but now, weight lifted together, becomes stone bridge, becomes path home. Thank you.
Wow, fantastic poems. That's Marjorie Maddox, everybody. And I love your backdrop today. Ooh, majestic.
That was from my residency in Maine last year at the Monson Art
Fabulous.
Center. Great place.
And I'm going to guess no filter. No filter needed. No filter needed in Maine, for sure. Well, next, we thank you so much, Marjorie. Next, here we are, folks. Again, it's our themed open mic here on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. Today, our word is unite. And so we are united in listening to this extraordinary poetry all our members are bringing today. Next, we'll hear from David Brydges, and then we're going to hope we can get back to Isaac Cohen after David Brydges. Hi, David.
Hi, Sandy. You're wearing the right colors for this poem. I've chosen an extraordinary unifier from the past whose influence is still alive and needed today. Hildegard was a 12th century German Benedictine abbess, mystic, poet, medical writer, philosopher, composer, theologian, herbalist, visionary, mandala art director, and metaphysical polymath. And I probably left out a few. In 2012, she was canonized as a saint. Her whole life was a magnificent prayer to honor the earth. Her world became a cosmos. The Green Mystic. I am the rain coming from the dew that causes the grass to laugh with the joy of life. Hildegard von Bingen. Her 800-year-old heartbeat awakens, my spirit's bloodstream flows back to the golden tent where wisdom sheltered its piety on the sacred ground of creation. Hildegard's theology was love for nature. A 12th century Renaissance woman, icon saint in the making, vaccinates the heart's virus from estrangement, from a modern mandala of madness. Earth's toxic breath despoils a place of primal purity. Cough stains into the lower lungs of my soul and brings secular sadness devoid of any higher joys. Spiritual tree lungs of the earth roots are rotten. Saint Greenness, you restored nature to the cosmic life force. Divinity did not manifest in the natural world. Why did we forget this sacred relationship? Where are green voices as our planet sweats into extinction? Divine feminine wisdom returns to a medieval church. Misogynist mindset denying women first-class citizenship in the cosmology where God is a cosmic egg depicted as male and female, Mr. and Mrs. God. Female, an immanent voice, is radiant and has a rapturous rapport. Nunnery, the only refuge for a visionary intellectual woman. Hildegard became a fierce writing activist for justice, lectured to men on church corruption and the need for reform. When the Archbishop told her to stop playing music, singing Gregorian chants, she claimed celestial songs were one's devotion to God. Wrote back slyly saying, "We shall comply, Archbishop, and may your soul rest someday without music from the symphony of heaven." The golden tent opens. A harp plays. There are no lineups. Only soul by soul pilgrims await this hunger for holiness. An alchemical angel in golden wings hovers as evil tries shooting arrows of anger. Hildegard's golden smile, a womb of oneness, sings as the grass under her bare feet begins to smile.
Wow. Brand, thank you so much. That's David Brydges, everyone joining us from Canada, and thank you for being here. And now we're going to try to go back to Isaac Cohen. Hope you're able to join us. I heard him.
Dear Sandy,
There he is.
dear Kim, dear Don, dear all my friends. Isaac Cohen, the real dream. I dream the streets will be pure and clean. People will secure the environment. No paper, no tag in the streets. All the material will be recycled. The atmosphere will be fresh and clear. I will wake up. My dream is realist. I dance with Mother Earth. The angels of the throne will sing Hallelujah to the people that listen to the God and unite the universe. Hallelujah to the people that listen to the God and unite the universe. Thank you, Isaac Cohen, Israel. And I hope the people secure their environment and secure the peace and love. That's all people must in the life. Thank you.
That's our dear friend, Isaac Cohen.
Yes.
Us from Tel Aviv, I believe. There in
Yeah.
Israel, and hallelujah to the people indeed. What a unifying message for everyone today. Thank you. We are here on Cultivating Voices. It's our themed open mic on the theme of Unite. What a great message to share. A song for the people from Isaac Cohen. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Peace and love, my mom says. Peace and love.
Yes.
Well, next we'll hear from Frances Browner. So great to see you. And
Hi.
Father by Ron Bremner. Francis, awesome.
How are you?
I'm well. I'm feeling the feels, as you can see.
Yeah,
But you know, that's what life is, isn't it?
yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Well, I just have two short pieces. The first one is an acrostic poem on peace. And it's people of the world unite. Teach your children not to fight. Everyone is just the same. We're all playing the same old game. All have loved and all have lost, taken chances, whatever the cost. So come together, the earth is ours. Sow some kindness, grow a few flowers. Eliminate the urge to succeed. Banish power and wealth and greed. Thank you. And the next piece is just the end of a poem, actually, I wrote about my Uncle Michael, who was, as a young Irish immigrant, fought for the US Army in Korea. And he didn't speak about it for 60 years until I interviewed him. And this is just the very end of the poem, what he said. I gaze over the hills, all covered in an ice blue frost. A Christmas scene in this killing field. Why don't we wade across the valley and meet in the rising mist? Swap cigarettes, share souvenirs, find a common language. Why don't we walk away wherever our hearts lead, so that when the call to arms sounds on the battlefield, there's no one there to hear.
Well, that is powerful. That's powerful. I love that idea, Francis. What a good reminder that sometimes we can excerpt from our own poems. You know, if we're not going to read the whole poem, but it really speaks to a theme. So thank you for modeling that for us and that piece acrostic. Beautiful. I'm so glad you joined us tonight.
Thank you.
Well, this week, and I hope we'll see you soon.
Yes, hopefully, yeah. Thanks a million.
You're very welcome.
Bye-bye.
Well, Ron Bremner has just entered the waiting room. I guess there's a little bit of technical difficulty here. I'll let Ron get settled for a moment, and Ron will be joining us. Again, if you're just joining us or just listening in, those of you who might be watching live on Facebook or on our YouTube channel, thank you so much for joining us here on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. Today is our themed open mic on the theme of Unite. I really, really am quite moved by the different prismatic ways you all are bringing this theme to the table. And I have to say that I do believe that poetry is, Francis spoke of common language. I believe poetry is a common language that can help to unite us even amongst our differences. And it's important to celebrate those differences and respect differences, because our differences is what really, really makes it so delicious to come together and get to know people in this amazing space of humanity. So I'm going to move now over to Ron Bremner and hope that Ron's ready to go.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Ron.
Let's see. Okay, unite. Ethics spilled from my beer mug onto the old oaken table, where my ethics sought to unite with the blood, sweat, and tears dried on the table from years of frustration. But the blood, sweat, and tears rejected my ethics and instead sought to unite with the anger and pain hanging in the air around us. But the anger and pain erupted into hot bubbling lava, threatening to consume us all. So I strode to the bar, paid for my beer, and made my escape before being consumed by all of these castles in the air. Thank you and have a pleasant day.
That's Ron Bremner. I'm so glad you made it back into the room. Great poem. Unite. Thank you so much. Folks, what I really always appreciate, and this is due to Kim Ports Parsons, is, you know, we post early, at least a week early, so you know what the theme is for the open mic, the themed open mic, our first Sunday of every month. And here's an example. You can write directly to that theme. Fantastic. Thank you so much again, Ron. Well, we get to go to a place that I was able to visit just last summer. I have the most amazing memories of being with Marcella Remund and Tweedy, who's going to be reading after Marcella just by chance. So welcome, Marcella. I'm really glad to see you today.
Thank you, Sandy. It's great to be here after a little break. And thank you to everyone, especially Kim and Don and Sandy, for holding this space for us. It's just so important to me and to so many people. This is a poem in a form called the quadrilleur, which is an invented poem. It's a fairly modern invented poem form, written in 5 short prose passages. And this is called Intersections. 1. In a classroom in Milwaukee, second graders huddle beneath beige metal desks. They giggle and spin chairs as children do. Bonnie's pigtails flip and fly like red flags in the breeze. Their teacher stands at the door, shushes them, peeks through a crack in the blinds. 2. In a slow orbit around her fiery heart, Earth rocks us in her cradle, sings us soft lullabies of wind and wave, birdsong, cricket, bark. The ache of her mothering falls in tear rain, bubbles up from rock, gathers in streams, into rivers, until oceans well up with her love for us. 3. When you haul coffee beans up from the basement freezer for me, beloved, when I add the right amount of black soybeans, cumin, and red peppers to your chili, when we each have dogs snoring in our blanketed laps, then I know it's safe to rest in this temporary truce. 4. Last night I dreamed of Mother. She was on the sofa, trying to knit by the light of blue blinking fairy lights. She looked up, called out my name, and I felt struck by lightning. I fell to my knees, terrified, but grateful for the electric tremors in my empty upturned hands. 5. We are not yet finished here. There's so much we still don't know, so much to hold on to. The way Luna moths find flowers, that look in your eyes, how the dead keep pleading with us, how we must come together, find common ground in which to plant seeds of kindness, peace, communion. Thank you.
Wow, that form is so interesting. I love its movement and how you just move to that 5th section. We are not yet finished here. And how you unite everything in the poem into that 5th section. What a message for today. What a message for today on our themed open mic Unite.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Marcella. I'm so glad you're here today. Well, her next door neighbor is next. Literally, they live down the street from each other, like one house apart. Sorry, if you're ever in Vermilion, they're very kind people. They'll share that with you. I hope I'm not disclosing too much. I just find it so absolutely charming. And it was indeed just a joy and delight to be in your physical presence and company. So, from one house to another house, and Tweedy, everyone. I'm really happy to see you too, Anne. Thank you for being.
Oh, thank you. I'm thrilled to see you, and I'm so lucky to move near Marcella by chance. So this poem, I have one poem in it. It does have to do with domestic violence and child abuse, so content warning. It's called Safety in Numbers. It feels safe to be many women at once, confusing but safe. Alongside the lawyer, the poet, alongside them both, the dreams of park ranging, running something, a laundromat, or that historic hotel in Fort Bidwell. Always there are escape routes, both real and imagined, from whatever I'm doing at the moment. Even my relationships are diverse, multiple. If I tire of one me, there's another close at hand to be or imagine. True, nothing holds me very tightly except maybe poetry, who has my heart in its hand no matter what I do. But for everything else, I'm like water, perpetually in transition from one form to another and then back again. And who knows if the imagined lives proceed in a parallel universe, or if I'll ever get to live them, or how I escape the dangerous balance of a seemingly static life like that of Mary, the preacher's wife from Selmer, Tennessee, who shot and killed the preacher as he lay in bed, having followed his orders for 9 years, according to the wifely subordination his last sermon propounded. Like wearing during sex the patent leather platforms and wig that dismayed the Southern jury, like covering her bruises with makeup and lying about how she got them, like hiding the preacher's suffocations of their infant daughter to make her stop. Late that Tuesday night, the pressure of being stuck got to be too much, and she accidentally or on purpose released birdshot into him. I'm sorry, she said to his why before packing up and driving their 3 girls to an Alabama beach town. Later, she'd said working part-time at the post office had helped her gain the confidence to know she didn't have to take it like a mouse. If only Mary, the preacher's wife, could have met Mary, the post office worker, before desperation set in, the preacher's wife might have huddled in the arms of the worker and forged a careful way out. Thank you.
Oh, wow, that's powerful. It's a powerful piece of poetry right there. And again, folks, showing another way. I mean, that title really said it all about uniting safety by numbers. Thank you for that contribution today. That's Ann Tweedy, everyone. Well, next we go to New Mexico. I'm not sure where in New Mexico, because Bill Nevins is a fierce traveler. But somewhere, maybe not even New Mexico, but I have a feeling. And Bill will be followed by Rachel Stanley. Thanks for being with us today, Bill.
Great. I hope you can hear me okay, Cindy. Can you?
Yeah, there's a little bit of static noise. It might be that you're near the mic a little bit. So
We'll try our best with it. Here we go. We're talking about unity, so there's different kinds of unity. It's a poem. Carencia and the salt of the earth, or El Sindicato y Solidaridad on the high road to Chimayo. Por la gente valiente de Nuevo Mexico. To hell with the lords or the sea. Carencia is a safe place from which one's strength is drawn, a place where one feels at home. Home, Our common land, this land, our homeland, was free in the time when the jaguar, elk, and bison roamed, and those bravos indios hunted free and prayed to the wide sky, in the time when those good indigenous folk welcomed our peaceful ways into this land, despite the horrors of conquest and enemy raids they had suffered, despite our having been exiled from glorious Santa Fe, sent to these mountains bearing only bows and arrows, pikes and scythes, to face Los Comanches armed with rifles supplied by Anglo traders. So we could, with our children, with our bodies, guard the haughty Hispano rich and clergy who nestled in comfort around their cathedral of the Holy Faith. For, not being soldiers, we were workers and farmers and detribalized Genesario, co-defenders of this shared frontier land. Camaradas, compadres, compas, not los pinches conquistadores from across the ocean sea. We had thrown off those royal chains. Orale, aho, blood in, blood out. Homies till the wheels fall off. Kid, no? Then the gringos came in their wagons, in their trucks, in their dozens, in their multitudes, singing their cowboy songs, singing their rock and roll tunes. It was our sacred privilege then to fish, to hunt, to graze, to gather wood from riverbed to the high snow ridge and beyond to Los Ejidos. And now we own little land, little wealth, little but our dreams, our skills, our pride, our faith, our families, our vergüenza. Don't you see? These latter days, enchanted, beguiled, or befuddled by history, we are still free. Free to be rolling out of these dear hills so we might pay those blessed bills. Cut some timber, build a house, string a fence for those who came here from good Lord knows where, to live, to breathe clear air, to pursue their own happiness. We will haul them some pinon and fine oak, well split to warm their winters. We do not begrudge them their pursuit, their answered prayers. We have precious little left, but we give what we have to give. They give what they will give. They brought us the great productions here, movies to shoot by day, by night on the high points above, their Klieg lights blaring on the ridge we all once owned. And now Rico rents them that spot where his mansion is planted for a very high price. Yet, in the film crews, we can now work for good pay. Gracias a Dios y John Henry y the Union, Yahtzee. For yes, we are strong Union folk now, on solidaridad, and so we may rebuild our querencia here in this land of Los Manitos Bravos, this land of the brave, this land all may own one fine day, fenceless, together in community, this enchanted land where our children may study law or sing our holy songs, pursuing their own long delayed dreams, pursuing their happiness. Don't you see? In this dear land that once was and so will be free, even when the fires and the floods sweep our lands and the FEMA drags its federal feet. We are patient. Oh, so patiently we wait, for we know that those who wait shall yet rejoice in due time. So we give thanks for all that shall truly be. For the lion screams in the barranca, and our souls here are always alone. Gracias.
Gracias. Muchas gracias. Bill Nevins. So much in that poem. And I'm glad you got the unions in there. I'm glad you got the unions in. And, you know, what I'm really struck by also is, for better and for worse, history is an unbelievable unifier. And it's our work to do what we can to write our way out, rewrite, and do the work to rectify what has come before as we move forward. Thank you so much, Bill Nevins. Glad you bring that poem to us on our themed open mic. Today, the word is unite. We have just a few more in our featured readers, and then we'll move to our waiting list of folks. And I'm so happy to welcome Rachel Stanley. So nice to see you this evening. And Rachel will be followed by Laura Garrard. I think you'll need to unmute. There we go. Rachel, do you have volume?
Oh, wait now, I'll just
There
check
you
that.
go. There you go.
Oh, you can hear me. That's
Now we
good.
can hear you. So nice to see you.
Oh, good. And thank you very much. Very nice to see you again, Sandy, and Kim also. So this poem is called Solidarity, and it's about a personal experience of unity. All of us were there when he let his tongue run loose. All of us were there when we stood frozen to the spot. The ones who shuffled uneasily in their shoes, the ones who wished they could be anywhere else but here. At a different time and when alone, I was on the receiving end of his acid tongue and his penetrating Gestapo eyes. That evening at the post-theatre party, his throwaway put down to me and another was stated aloud for all to hear. Carmel, darling, your patience with the two standing on either side of you is so deserving of praise. Our director, Carmel, stood with me on her right, her husband on her left. Feeling her own discomfort, she spoke directly to me. Your performance tonight was flawless. This time for me, no suppressed lump of hurt in my throat. This time no tears about to spill. I felt the collective empathy in my gut. All of us were there.
Wow, go ahead. You have another?
I can thank Kevin Higgins for that because that came about as I think the instruction was to write a poem with the refrain, all of us were there. So remembering the great Kevin Higgins, and I took part in his online workshop. So the second one I'm going to read is called The Middle Ground, and it's about how we might achieve unity. It was published back in 2012 in Misty Mountain Review in Nepal. The Middle Ground. I recall a voice from years ago, a yoga teacher sharing wisdom with his pupils. Where there's freedom, there's balance, and where there's balance, there's freedom. in the middle between two opposites, like a weighing scales measuring out an even measure, or like a rider on a bicycle who does not lean to either side but balances in the middle, or like a special envoy on a mission of peace between two nations at war. The whole of life strives towards this balance. Where there's balance, there's freedom, and where there's freedom, there's balance. Thank you.
Oh, what a contribution to tonight's program, Rachel. Thank you. Where there's balance, there's freedom. Where there's freedom, there's balance. And I have to say, I've been thinking about Kevin too. So for you to have invoked Kevin this evening, I'm really grateful for you lifting Kevin's voice and tutelage and all the ways that he united people through poetry. And of course, we lost Kevin all too soon as well. So I'm very, very grateful that, we're able to unite in multifaceted ways. And one of those is remembering those that have passed. So thank you for reading those poems. I think he'd be quite honored to know that he inspired your voice today.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you. Until next time, be well. Well, we move now to Laura Garrard and then followed by Patricia Carragon.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me all right? Because it says my bandwidth is low.
You sound perfect.
Okay.
Clear
all right.
as a bell. Beautiful.
All right. So the first poem I'm going to read is part of a women's fishing anthology. And I picked this poem because it's about my father. My father and I have opposite political viewpoints. So rather than read a political poem, I've chosen this poem. Fishing for Dad's Friendship. My father fished marlin with men on business trips. We three golden women tended ourselves most weeks, and the backyard garden in a Bay Area suburb. We weren't subsistence hunters, but Dad, an Eagle Boy Scout, prodded us to camp in Western national parks and rewild in redwood forests, Sierra mountains. One summer we toured farther east to Utah and Wyoming. On Yellowstone Lake, we puttered a rented outboard motor and fished with small rod and reels, baited weighted hooks with shiny lures. Hard to imagine being patient, ages 8 and 10, eyes fastened to those cute red and white round floats, anticipating them to quake, hooking a fish first. I'm sure Dad entertained with enthusiasm in boyhood stories. My sister and I, orange in life jackets, each caught a cutthroat trout. Were we supposed to throw it back? My bell-bottom jean memory says we skinned our tiny trophies on the shore, fried them for dinner, proud, stringy hair-blown hunters, bonded through gut cleaning with Dad's old Swiss Army knife. After that, when he donned to go fishing, I fellow adventured, wanted to work with him, grow special in his smiles. Do what men do, more than a daughter, relate as a son. I felt power in rising from our pop-up trailer early morn, quiet tag-along and son's barest tan on vacation arms, warmed by lessons of worm hooking, Daddy's gritty girl. When grown, I asked Dad to share an Alaskan adventure. We toured grizzlies in Denali, eavesdropped Talkeetna pilots, whale-watched Resurrection Bay, and especially for him, I booked a drift boat fishing trip at a wilderness lodge. We floated a rampant Kenai River for silver salmon, threw them back though, after our prize pictures taken, wearing matching gray chest-high waders, smiles wide from age 8 to tomorrow, filled with the gills of kinsman camaraderie. And I'll read one more. This is a poem I wrote from just a particularly interesting day not too long ago. It's a pretty new poem. There is a grand frenzy today. A mother who can't calm the child and suffers depression when her hormones resume. A woman who knocks on our door, please, so sorry, sir. I need gas to get to town. Can't shut the engine off or it won't start again. And I drink a glass of wine at noon, unwind avoidance of grease over loss of mobility, an easier time, a beloved place left behind. I'm hot ironed by limitations, joint pain I can no longer choke back, aches from survivor tension. Clenched, cocked jaw needs to unhinge its child, yell into the universal shout. What will we find when we let it out? Stop, plastering a smile, overworking the grind and saying no worries. Let's rediscover our kicks and fits, rip off the Band-Aid to breathe, hold hot hands in woman solidarity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura. Welcome and come back and read more poems. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Oh yeah. Love those poems. My mom was hooting and hollering behind here too. That's the real measure is my mom when she's, yeah, beautiful. Patricia Carragon is our final featured reader. Then we're going to get to that open mic. And I think to that waiting list, I think we're going to get to everybody today. Thank you so much, everyone. And thanks to all the features. And I'll just say quickly, how fun was it to meet Patricia in person for the first time a few weeks ago? Not in Bryant Park, even though it was supposed to be Bryant Park. But we'll be in Bryant Park in the future.
Yeah. Hi, Sandy. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Wonderful reading. Okay, one poem because I want the others to read. Mr. Bojangles. A raggedy man lived for music and Nina Simone. Called himself Mr. Bojangles. Played jazz on his secondhand sax. Tap danced for tips and smiles. He'd perform on his makeshift stage at West 4th Street for an underground medley of passing souls and flavors, both the good and bad. His silver cup sometimes overflowed, other times emptied by thieves. Some would listen, others would run for their train or walk to the nearest staircase. The roared trains competed with his sax, but not enough to quash its notes. Even local rats would stop and show their respect. He spoke about Vietnam, his loss of friends to drugs and disease, his run-ins with the police, his life on the streets, his need to survive, his need to spread sunshine at West 4th Street. Yes, he would speak again about his life, then break into another dance and tune. When he finished, I left a tip and boarded my train, not knowing that his sax and dance steps would be no more. Thank you.
Wow, fabulous poem. That's Patricia Carragon. Folks joining us from Brooklyn and Brownstone Poetry. Folks, if you have announcements about upcoming readings, events, calls for submission, feel free to put those in the chat to share with the group. We're going to go next to the waiting list. Folks, thank you so much. One poem each, and we start with Brenda Gunn. Welcome, Brenda.
Hi, everybody. You have no idea how happy I am to be here. And I'll put it in my chat, but I'm reading from my new book. Don't know if that's allowed, but The poem is not new, but it has been published before, but it's coming out in my new collection. I think it was Ken that said fall is starting in Washington. Well, September 1st is fall up here in Edmonton, Alberta, but it's actually a beautiful, beautiful day. And what a theme, unity. This poem's kind of a bit about unity, but how it can morph into disunity when the need for the unity is no longer there. So I think that's a way to introduce this. It's called Grounded. Kid loud, summer loud, we skip, chant, sing song in our backyard. Had a little sports car 248, drove around the corner, slammed on the brakes. You step to the deck, alert in shirt sleeves. Shield your eyes, scan clear blue western skies above our heads. Smells like rain, you say, to no one in particular, though we're right there. Your words suspend in static, storm-hushed air. Our rhyme game silenced. Pink-handled ropes slacken our small hands. Behind you, clouds mass and shift and roil, angry blue-black. Somehow you sense these thunder cells, some telepathic vibe. We are your oldest, yin and yang, dark, fair, complicit now in steering clear, navigating your negatively charged force fields. Thunder rolls. 1,000, 1,000, you count aloud, gauging the encroaching booms. Each one represents a mile. We grasp at, clutch, and stow your voice, each rare and precious word. You back the mower from the shed, light a number 7, puff, hands free, perfect diagonal rows of golf green symmetry. We observe these Saturday dad rituals, safe distant from the fence. Sudden boom, leaden clouds unleash. We beeline for your pride and joy, the old Ford Meteor strictly off limits, permanently parked. We know her soft gray cloth back seat is warm and dry and smells like dust. We've sought secret haven here before. Then you're in the driver's seat, life large, rain wet, bringing bluster, scent of juicy fruit and cigarette. We don't dare breathe. The Meteor rocks in sideways driven sheets. A flash, your face illuminated. So this is where you hide. A wink and rare half smile. We're safe in here. Old Blue's grounded by her rubber tires. On cue, a sky split fork of fire. In the rearview mirror, your eyes find mine. Your hands on the big wheel at 10 and 2. The way you never do. As if you plan to take us on a drive, as if to make believe a road trip, something you might consider.
Well, that's Brenda Gunn. Show the new book again. We want to just give a little, woo-hoo! There it is. Wow. Fabulous. I love it. It's beautiful.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's called Florilegia, and it's live on Amazon right now. Thank you.
Love it. Come back, read more from it. That's Brenda Gunn, everyone, from Alberta. Beautiful. Thank you for joining us from Canada tonight, or this afternoon for you. Susan Abbott is next, and followed by Catherine Ronan. Susan, I'm so glad you're with us today for Unite.
Me too. I'm glad to be here and lucky to be here. I've been having some technical difficulties, or I'd been earlier, but I've missed you all and listen in when I can. So I've been doing the Sealy Challenge too, and I've got some things out of that. But what I have today, I love a good rhyme. So this is a persona poem of Willendorf, the sculptor. I am the one who made you fat, to let the world know that we are all that. I am the one who pound for pound made that belly so full and round. I am the one you saw writ large. Know it was you, always in charge. I am the one who chiseled every curve, flesh to the bone, tending each nerve, chipping limestone with an obsidian tool from the river's edge cave of a sculpting school. The vortex of vulva, the hair on your head, the face never seen, the prayers always said. Out of a time they call Paleolithic, statues we came to name mythic. The scientists, the diggers, they dubbed you a Venus. Was it because their brains had a penis? I am the one who made you fat, the universe spinning like an acrobat, that impulse to take a being so grand and fashion it miniature to fit in my hand. The shape of my dreams won't leave me alone. It signals to me, in this body, I'm home. And so my hands were connected to heart. My love and your spirit I bring to this art to absorb the power of that figurine united with our own. Let it be seen. The twisting and turning that history tangles, the very idea of a large woman, the culture now strangles. We never thought it would come to that. I am the queen that made you fat.
Yeah, I love that. I love that appreciation of the body as unification, bringing the body together, unified, mind, body, soul, all of that. What a great persona poem.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you. We'll see you next time soon, I hope.
I hope so too.
And whenever you're able to be here, we're here and we're very appreciative.
Likewise. Thank you.
Catherine Ronan, over to Ireland. Good to have you with us, of course.
Hi everyone. Hi Sandy.
Hello.
Hi everyone. It's great to have this back on Sunday evening, I have to say. The poem is called Unite and it's in memory of Lyra McKee. Unite. We worship at the altar of choice, humming conquerors beating soft war on multicolored drums. It is our time. Diving naked as strangers into nothing and everything, awakened to the call of the centuries. It is our time. We are here falling from infinity to climb the stairs of history with limestone tongues. It is our time. Giving to the night, all born to the day, we lie down and unite. It is our time.
I don't know. Sam Tweedy's still here, but in legal terms, when you have a case that's like spot on, you call it on point. You could not have a more on point poem for a theme on Unite than that poem. On point, on point. We worship at the altar of choice, right there from the get-go, first line. That's Catherine Ronan, everyone. Thank you very, very much. Martha Ellen is next. I'm so happy to have you with us this fine, fine program today, all united together on this theme of Unite. Thank you for joining us, Martha.
Thank you for having me. It's just a little short poem. It's called, second here, My Dream. A bright sunny day in Illinois. My grandmother in the back seat, withered with age. I turned to her. Grandma, I want to go on a picnic with you in Onarga. I know, but I can't anymore. We can always love each other, though. And she reached out her hand to hold mine in the perfect love of the transfigured and resurrected, piercing the illusion of time, brushing aside the dust of death, and with clarity that love transcends and exists only in the present tense. Thank you.
Oh, love exists only in the present tense. That's a unifying message. And
good.
unify the generations that have come before and toward the future as well, you know, past, present, future. Beautiful poem. Sometimes short is the most powerful. There you go. Thank you. Next time. I look forward to it. Oh, one of my sisters in Washington, Debra Pearl. I know so many people are having difficulty with internet connection today. You are all resilient. You're all bringing the poems. We are united in the struggle against the technology. And yet here we are. Debra Pearl, I'm so glad you're here today. Sorry, time zones.
Hi, Sandy. Greetings, everyone. My last name is actually pronounced Peri, P-E-R-I.
Deborah, I always do that. I always see the I as an L. It's Perry.
I know, it's so strange. I'm starting to think I might have to change my name again.
No. No. I have to be more careful, and I'm so sorry. Thank you for.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, we're good.
It's lovely to see everybody. This is a poem when I saw the topic of United, I wasn't sure, but this one just kind of jumped out. I wrote it about 3 years ago. It's called Pleasure. Pleasure found in equanimity, in social justice, in community with divinity. Exhaling, filling lungs with fresh morning air. Pleasure found in soothing and nurturing this physical body. Pleasure when wounds heal, the sun shines through deep winter's fog. As felt by the dewdrop on tips of spring sprouts with joyous acclaim, freeing relief. Pleasure found in the flight of the soul through universal consciousness. Pleasure as a child's laughter exclaiming their indescribable bursts of spontaneous joy. Smiles replied with memories of few, but poignant reminders that the wind blows, then stills. Pleasure, the relief when a wound heals, that caustic divisions find quietude through forgiveness, that self-shame is released by virtue of authenticity, dignity, agency, most of all, love. Pleasure when compassion relieves suffering with fervent resolve, its song lifting, blazing, soothing, lasting. Pleasure as spirit releases from the body's shell in reverence and revelry of the silence.
Debra Peri, on point. I can't help but also feel that a connection with Alexandra Psaropoulou's work. I feel the resonances between the two of you and how you're in your messages through time and space. Thank you so much. Fabulous to have you on the program. And I'm never going to mispronounce your name ever again. Kim, keep me to that, okay? You know, I just want to say, often actually, the poetry universe of Cultivating Voices live poetry has a way of creating just the right order of the poets. Kim does it just how it happens. It's random. It's not, and it's all in front of your eyes. We're not having any little machinations behind the scenes or anything like that. I mean, if we miss someone, we'll try to get them on, we'll do things like that. But you're pretty much, we keep it all above board so you can see who's populating the chat, who's coming onto the program, who's requested to be on the open mic. You know, we're human, obviously. And I just have to say, given the program today, and also given that we began the program with our, you know, our tribute to our dear friend, it just to me seems so perfect that Kate Wegrzyn is our final reader for today. Thank you. And I saw that you had a very, very special visit this week from someone. That made me very, very happy.
Hi. Unite. Children have always been my charge. Growing up, oldest female of 15 first cousins. And my mother and her mother, my grandmother, kindergarten teachers. Oh, imagine what they taught me and what I missed as a businesswoman for 35 years until they said, "We're not renewing your lease. What would I do?" And I was recommended to take care of a teacher's newborn daughter so that she could continue the last couple of months of her teaching and still be able to come back at full pay when the time came. And there I was. I was able to unite myself with my beginnings place. That little girl, Soleil, I sang to her, I walked with her, and she grew, and the mother needed me more times than we knew. And then she wanted to pull the wagon, find the path to the stream, shift her weight for balance, intent to see, holding my hand to be sure. I would hold her snack, and she would share an offering, letting me know how to tour the river, to hear the sounds, to find the plane in the clouds, observe the dump truck mapping its course along the way. Soleil, I watched her grow from a newborn. It was always sad when I would leave the day. And there she was, and I wrote a poem. Sticks, leaves, flowers, and weeds flow in the stream amongst the reeds. Some are swift, others drift, then circle round and round till their current on the stream is found. My sister and brother sat me down at one time and said, "Kate, we have to tell you something." And I was like, "Oh no, am I in trouble? What did I do?" And they said, "Just sit down and listen." That's the big thing people have to tell me to do, just listen. And they said, "We wanted you to know we always thought of you as our mother. I have lost last year my sister, and before that, our little brother also died. And I want to unite all the memories of all the goodness that we live in our lives, for we shall dwell in the house to unite." Thank you.
Thank you. We shall dwell in the house to unite. May all of you dwell in all of your houses tonight and forevermore in your houses to unite, however that translates for you. To quote Catherine Ronan, "It is our time. It's always our time." And I want,
Sandy, I think there's one more reader.
oh, I've missed my list. Is it Yeva Johnson?
Yes.
I hope it is. All right, Yeva. Take us home.
Thank you, Sandy. I just was so moved in this place where poets and poet lovers unite. I was just moved to read this poem, an excerpt of this poem, because it's long. So there are 3 sections. It's the last 2. In the spirit of somebody earlier inspired me. And as usual, I will unite my music with poetry with just a little touch at the beginning for a brief moment. And this is from Like the Forgotten Anonymous, after Muriel Rukeyser's The Life of Poetry, and for my chosen families. An excerpt. I sang to you of truth and beauty, love, friendship, and death, because eventually my well ran dry, my hedge brook trickled out, my lakes turned to rolling meadows in virtual valleys, my snow-capped peaks poked bare sun metal tips at the door to the sky's radar productions. My ocean tide did not rise high enough to carry me on the sea of life. I sang to you because a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and BIPOC, Jewish, music, cutie POC, artistic, and writing communities sang back in a symphonic tapestry that formed the village that raised me. I sang to you because the Ghost Lines Collective embodied infinite love, which overflowed when master poets adored each other in a crown reading of poem after poem, which then expanded into wave after wave, which carried me with them so my tongue could be free to unleash my voz sin tinta. Anyone who knows me knows I don't speak Spanglish, mas eu falo portuñol y yo hablo espantugués, and I'm learning Axolot. Like a middle-aged Hansel or Gretel, I tapped in and collected refrains one by one to follow a path back to myself. I sang to you because I couldn't ask you to remember me. I was rooted, and it was written that I was destined to be forgotten. So I asked you to remember a radical feminism where every gender shines true, to remember every color of the human rainbow is sacred, to remember sentient beings are beings, not objects, because I had hoped that you would act accordingly. This is what love and what unite means. I will sing to you of atavistic wisdom and the last poet, because I drift as dust and sprinkle the dreams of future offspring with the warning, beware of the dog and the alley cat. Respect the voices of our nation's arts and always heed la palabra musical. It's time to get lit at this rainbow writing school where the headmistress presses you to produce new poems on first Fridays at City Lights so you can cultivate voices live root slam. I will sing to you after spending a lifetime listening to catch my name. I would hear it resounding only after I became a lonely nomadic poet pushed by a pandemic into an electronic sea of Zoom rooms to hear waves of Yeva, Yeva, Yeva echo back to me in the chat, the magic box that allowed me to teach you how to say my name. Say it now because it's soon to be forgotten. I will sing to you of poets living and dead who can sing in real life, on the page or across the web, because you will need this sinister wisdom. I will sing to release this ridiculous rage, my Black, feminist, queer woman, Jewish, fat, disabled musician, physician, poet self knows by heart, because before I even started, I could never be finished. Thank you. Yeva, Yeva, Yeva!
Friends, the only thing better than hearing Yeva read at a reading on Zoom called Unite is listening to Yeva read in person, which I've had the amazing, amazing experience of being in a room. Folks, there is nothing I can say better than what Yeva, Kate, and everyone came before has said today about how to unite. A great way to close our program today, invoking Muriel Rukeyser, who, Life of Poetry, if you go to our Cultivating Voices Live Poetry Facebook page, you will see that the founding words of this program were the words of Muriel Rukeyser. You can see it, it's there on the page. Go just take a peek. And if you watch the very first video, I read the introduction to the Life of Poetry when I was inviting people for the very first time. What a way to unite us in poetry. Folks, I want to thank everyone. Let's unmute and show our appreciation. I'll say the names of everyone that's read today and make a couple announcements, and then we'll be on our united way. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Bravo.
Fabulous
reading.
Excellent.
Very good. Thank you, everyone, for sharing.
Yeah, we heard today, everyone, at the top of the hour from Alexandra Psaropoulou, Ken Burch, Marjorie Maddox, David Brydges, Francis Browner, Isaac Cohen, Ron Bremner, Marcella Remund, Ann Tweedy, Bill Nevins, Rachel Stanley, Laura Garrard, Patricia Carragon, Brenda Gunn, Susan Abbott, Catherine Ronan, Martha Ellen, Debra Peri, Kate Wegrzyn, and Yeva Johnson. I want to remind you all to join us next week. It's our first new book showcase of our fall season. It's our fall season, friends, is off the charts. I just want you to know, mark every second Sunday. Be with us live if you can. This upcoming Sunday, next Sunday, we will have Kathy Haley, poet, who will be reading the work of her daughter, as well as her own work. Her daughter was the poet laureate, the inaugural poet laureate of Prince William County in Virginia, who passed away tragically very, very early at 26 years old. She'll be reading her work and her own from her collection, from Zan Haley's collection, Interstate Lines. We will have Josephine Loray joining us from the United States, although she's from Calgary because she's on tour. Poet Laureate Emerita and National Treasure Grace Cavalieri will be with us. And the current Poet Laureate of West Hollywood, otherwise known as WeHo, Jen Chang, will be joining us. That'll be our new book showcase next week, same time, wherever you are in the time zones. Please do join us. Thank you, everyone, for being here today, tonight, unifying across time and space and poetry. And please do continue to do your work, to use language, to unify our voices in all of those amazing things that you invoked today. As I always say at the end of every program, please do take extremely good care of yourself, exceptional care of your beloveds. And again, look at what happens when we keep writing, when we keep uniting through our words, our actions, our words. Keep invoking our dear beloveds, Marian Lovett, Kevin Higgins, and all those poets who have helped us pave that path to us coming together on Sundays for Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. I'm Sandy Yannone, your host, with thanks to Don Krieger and Kim Ports Parsons, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Be well, my friends.